Welcome to Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet where Marvel used Riddick as an audition tape for their next movies. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chad, and we got a fun-filled week. We got 4 episodes coming at you because we missed last week.
We were on vacation.
Don't worry.
Sorry about that.
We're gonna cram it into one week, so we got a lot to talk about. We're talking about today Riddick.
That's the first one. And then next week, or the next episode, we're going to be doing a little review of a board game. Some of you may have played it before, but it is Settlers of Catan.
As always, you can check us out over at Twitter at Epic Geek Out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Epic Geek Out, and also check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com. But let's get into our review of Riddick. So we have our review of Riddick, starring Vin Diesel, and it is the third time that he is playing the title character, Riddick. First in Pitch Black, right? That's the name, and then in the Chronicles of Riddick. And so now we have our hero, I guess, for lack of a better term. Anti-hero, stuck on this kind of desolate planet where he has to fend for himself, first against just nature of this planet. You know, everything's kind of trying to kill him. And then when these two different groups of mercenaries come to retrieve him, because, you know, he realizes it's about time that he gets off the planet. Kind of a longer movie than I actually expected, you know, a little over 2 hours. And Chad, what did you think of Riddick?
Okay, so there's 2 ways to talk about this. One is it being a Riddick movie. The other being a movie.
Yeah.
I'll just
give both of your opinions.
I'll just say, starting off, as a movie, kind of not good. I mean, the tropes of it, just everything's just so stupid and forced, and you know, just as a standalone movie, not good. Especially if you haven't seen the other two, because there is some backstory that you need. Not really so much the second movie, because that's kind of tied up in a nice little bow in like a scene. Yeah,
and well, let me comment on that real quick. I don't know if I ever saw the first two, or I saw them and I was doing something else, but they left no impression on me.
Right.
I understood the part that, you know, Chad was just going to say of the second movie, how it ties in, because, you know, they have a scene in it and they kind of wrap it up. The other part, I was kind of a little in the dark.
Yeah, yeah. So they tie up the the Necromonger storyline in the second movie really quickly. How obviously at the end of that movie he took over. Spoiler alert, I guess. So that's tied up quickly, and they kind of get past that. But a big portion of the arc of the character relationships in this movie tie back to the first movie, Pitch Black, which I haven't seen in so long. And like the dude's, when he says his name, it ties back to a character from that film. And unfortunately, like, it didn't land on me because I hadn't seen it. I didn't know the guy's name. Once I started to understand, that was that dude from that movie.
Once they started talking about more of the storyline of that first movie.
Yes, that made more sense. But there's still, like, there's a lot that you kind of need to have the backstory on to make it really effective. And, like, why he's such a outlaw, that's kind of not touched on here. So unless you've seen the other two, you don't really know, that he's, kind of on the raw and he's, like, a convicted guy. So that part, not good if you haven't seen it. But as a Riddick movie, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot more humor than the others. It went for that hard R rating, so there was a lot of swearing, a lot of awesome kills.
Yeah, little sidebar. We were sitting in the movie, and I'm like, is this PG-13 or R? And we're like, it's PG-13. You find out real quick that this is an R-rated movie.
Within the first 5-10 minutes, for sure.
For senseless things, for no reason.
Gratuitous. But I like that because I think it kind of had fun with itself. I mean, the first movie was a great movie. I think it had sort of surprise success. And then the second movie really tried to build a mythology and a franchise. And I think it really failed in a lot of those fronts. And this one kind of just went back to that kind of standalone Monster of the Week-ish type thing. But like just had fun. It was a little bit campy. Had a little bit of fun with itself. It wasn't good by, the filming wasn't good. The acting wasn't all great. The writing was pretty bad. The CG was bad, but it was fun, and it kind of didn't take itself too seriously, which the other one I felt did. So in terms of like the trilogy, I really think I enjoyed this one especially more than the last one, maybe even more than Pitch Black. But I think where it ended up was kind of interesting. I think they could have done more with it, but it was fun. And I thought Batista did a really good job in it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I made the joke earlier, because, like, Batista's in this movie, Vin Diesel's in it, and now they're going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Katie Sackhoff is in this, and she's rumored now to be approached for a female superhero movie.
Yeah, so I think overall good as Riddick movie. If you've seen the other two, I think you kind of need to see this, but otherwise it's probably a miss for most people.
Yeah, so I just take somewhat offense that we even are referring to things as a Riddick movie. Like, I'm just baffled in its own right that there is a third Riddick film. I mean, how'd that happen? It just shows how Hollywood always goes back to properties they know. I have no allegiance or, love for the other films. Like, I can't even remember if I saw them. So I can only judge this movie on the fact that this is a standalone movie for me. So, again, I think if you were fans of the other ones, you like this character, you definitely have to see it. It's bringing back a character that you like. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have that pre-existing, love for really anything. This world was completely new. All the storylines that I didn't understand were new, and that really made it hard. There were some scenes that were cool, but, the first, let's say, third of the movie, it's like Castaway. But instead of a really good actor like Tom Hanks, it's Vin Diesel in this ridiculous world of him trying to survive. And there are just no moments that were, like, really fun for me, like, in that. I didn't really enjoy the animals or the creatures that he had to, protect himself against. It just didn't lead into anything worthwhile for me. I think that there were a couple moments in the movie that the CGI or lack thereof just took me completely out of it. When they, stole the idea of speeder bikes from Star Wars, and they're on these speeder bikes, and it's all, green screen behind them, and
the animal from Watchmen.
Yeah, exactly. So there are just moments that really took you out of it. The dialogue is absolutely terrible. There's like, it's a pretty sexist movie, I think, at parts, which didn't need to be sexist. It just kind of was, and I hope that's not their thought of appealing to a young male audience, because it's just not necessary by any means. The staging was really off for me. Like, I really felt like it wasn't fluid. It was, you stand here, you look menacing, hold a gun, look this way, do this, you do this. Oh, this guy's talking, stand behind him.
Yeah.
And just, like, it felt so uncomfortable and so unnatural. And maybe if, like, they were filming on location and they didn't need the planet to look so ridiculously futuristic and barren and stuff like that, it might have had a better feel to it. But just those things took me out of the movie enough that the parts that I enjoyed, like some of the action scenes, some stuff like that, I couldn't recommend it, especially if you have not seen the first two movies. From my own standpoint, it really didn't hold any weight in regards to that.
And the first third of it is a good gripe, because I think it kind of tries to establish the character, but they've had two movies sort of doing that. So whereas I would understand if this was kind of a reboot of sorts, where they're just like, let's bring a new audience in, make it completely detached from the other two films, so you get to know that he's this, like, badass guy. But they had so many ties that were kind of crucial to knowing the plot, that I didn't understand who they were trying to cater to.
Yeah.
So there was like a third of the movie, the first third, where it's kind of like back to basics with Riddick, like discover who this character is. But then there was stuff tied from the other film, so it's kind of a waste of time. But I say check it out if you're a fan of the series. Otherwise, it's definitely a skip, I think, because
agreed.
There's just not a lot to like in terms of just being a standalone movie. So Riddick.
It's that time of the episode where we like to give our thanks. Chad, what are you thankful for today?
I'm just going to, again, I think we talked about it before, but the Xbox One is coming out. The pre-order date, the release date was announced the 22nd of November, which is a week after PlayStation. Fortunate for me, but because I chose the Xbox. But I'm excited. There's a couple things I've seen that really got me excited. The NFL fantasy being listed while you watching live TV.
Except this year, I don't even want to see my fantasy team.
True.
I'm so upset with it.
But yeah, some cool stuff that's coming out in terms of just the entertainment portion that I'm really excited for. So I'm ready to go. I've been watching a lot of stuff about it. I'm excited.
Great. And if you watch some of our past episodes, you know that we started this show because we are fans of the Totally Rad Show. And Jeff Canada of Totally Rad Show fame has a new late night talk show that is being hosted with himself and I think Christian Splicer, I think is the guy's name. I hope I got that right. Sorry if I didn't. But that is now being broadcast on the Nerdist Network, which I think is awesome. So it's kind of in the format they'll do, like, in the episodes I've watched so far, which there are two of, they kind of do, like, some comedy in the beginning. They do like a cutaway like thing where they kind of made fun of the Xbox always on and stuff like that. And then, they sit down and talk to someone in the gaming world, and, it's good and it's interesting, and I'm, happy to see him getting some, time on the Nerdist. Alex Albrecht, he had 4 points before, and it'd be cool if Dan Trachtenberg shot like a short or something for him. So check that out on the Nerdist Network.
So we'll be back next episode talking about Settlers of Catan, which is a board game that's very popular.
Very popular.
We're going to be telling you what we think about it. Make sure you check back for that. And don't forget, we also have 2 other episodes coming later in the week. But thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.